Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast, and I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving for all those who celebrate. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving fun. I hope you enjoy spending time with your families and your loved ones. I hope you all enjoy it. And also, if you're somebody who does Black Friday shopping, please stay safe. No matter where you are in the world, please stay safe. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite Thanksgiving dishes are. Maybe something that you would do with your family. My favorite Thanksgiving dish is a tie between turkey and mac and cheese. Just both. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. So we've got a very good weekend of football coming up. We've got football, Thanksgiving Day. We've got football Friday for Black Friday. We've got college football on Saturday, and we have football Sunday and Monday. So basically, football fans are going to be spoiled for the next couple of days. And so just kind of going over last week's picks, when I had Kevin on the episode, yeah, it was my worst week. I was 6-6, and I forgot to talk about the Green Bay and 49ers game, which, yeah, no, just I was wrong on a lot of games. And so just to kind of recap, essentially I have all of last week's games, and I'm going to try to describe them in as short, like as briefly as I can. Just not to speed things up, just to switch things up. So Steelers versus Browns, blizzard. Had no idea that game was going to be played in a blizzard. Basically, I know it wasn't an official blizzard, but if you've seen the pictures from when that game originally started to the time that the game originally ended, two complete different atmospheres. Which, yeah, Titans versus Texans, alarming, alarming for the Texans. Vikings versus Bears, Caleb QB1. 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 Cowboys versus Commanders, extra point. I'm going to go back over the last two real quick with Caleb. I understand that the Bears did not win their game, but I honestly did not foresee the Bears even being able to be in a position to go into overtime. Caleb Williams balled out. He played his best game as an NFL athlete so far. He played great. He made some throws where I was like, holy crap, man. Like, I just was impressive. Like, he was extending the play, he was making the correct reads. Offensive line, I feel like, played well for a majority of the game. And yeah, just Bears had their QB1. And the Commanders, I just think that, don't get me wrong, the extra point, it happens. People miss extra points. And the Commanders kicker, I believe his name is Austin Siebert. Let me know if I mispronounced that. People are going to be all on, him for that. And don't get me wrong, that was a very, very important moment. But just because if he would have made that kick, does not mean that the Commanders would have went on to win in overtime. Now, do I think they would have? Yes. But the fact that they were even in overtime against a beat up Cowboys team, I think is alarming. Uh, Pats versus Dolphins, not an upset. Chiefs versus Panthers, Bryce Young. Bryce Young. Bucks versus Giants, no Daniel Jones, no Saquon. Giants still have problems. So just to kind of, I got to see some of the all 22 footage of Bryce Young, and I'm not somebody who'll break down like the film. Not to say that I can't do that, but I just think my talent is more so just discussing the game this way. When you look at the view where you kind of get a different angle with how offensive defense runs, Bryce Young had some incredible throws. He had some throws where he was beating the blitz. He had some throws where he was putting it where only his wide receiver could get it. And he was very, very close to beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And also, he led a drive. I believe the score was 27-19 when he led a drive to tie the game up. He's been playing very, very well. Very, very well. I hope he keeps it up. The Pats versus Dolphins. I don't really have much to say about that game. I kind of was hoping the Patriots were going to pull off an upset. That was not the case. And then the Giants. Saquon Barkley had his amazing weekend, as we all know. Daniel Jones had gotten cut. Giants just need everything to be tossed out of the kitchen sink. They just need to start over, like completely over. I'm sure they're going to try to get one of the guys in this upcoming draft class to be on their team. Um, so moving forward, Lions versus Colts, Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. That's their nickname for themselves. Broncos versus Raiders, Broncos playoff run. Cardinals versus Seattle, weird, just weird. 49ers versus Green Bay, BTA. Eagles versus Rams, Saquon MVP? Question mark. And Ravens versus Chargers, Harbaugh ball. So now I'm gonna more so talk about the some things also I've been seeing because the last three games, you just realize it. Green Bay's new running back, Josh Jacobs. The Eagles' new running back, Saquon Barkley. Ravens' new running back, Derrick Henry. All three were on their pretty much original. Actually, no, not pretty much. All three were on their original teams last season, and they are just balling out. All three of them, I believe, are the top three rushing leaders for the year, and they are just. A lot of people thought Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley were just washed. I was like, no, you were not on. They were not in the best of situations. I mean, Saquon Barkley had 255 yards. I didn't even finish watching the game. I really didn't because and by saying I didn't finish watching it, I watched until the third quarter on the TV. Then I was playing Black Ops 3 Zombies. I don't have Black Ops 6 yet with, Kevin and my brother. And so I had it on, on my phone and I see the second 70-yard touchdown run that Saquon had. I'm like, dear Lord, but also I'm happy that Saquon decided to look out for me, even though that I obviously know that 99.999% of NFL players don't care about fantasy football or parlays. But Saquon Barkley having the game he did basically helped me win in fantasy because if Jalen Hurts would have balled out a little bit more, I would have been in some trouble. And so, yeah, that 49ers Green Bay game, I didn't know that Brock Purdy would not be playing in the game. Do I think that Brock Purdy would have made a difference? I definitely do. Do I think the 49ers still would have won, though? No, I did not think the 49ers would have won if they still had Brock Purdy and Josh Jacobs. He had himself a day. He was looking good in his post game interview regarding like some of the stuff that he says as he's running the ball, and it's why he doesn't, allow the NFL to have him mic'd up. Smart decision, because if I was an NFL player, why would I willingly mic myself up, knowing that say I could have a potty mouth or I'm just the cocky trash talker type of guy? Why would I set myself up to basically hand the NFL money? It's like the RDC meme. I was caught in 4K, literally. Ravens versus Chargers. I didn't explain it too much in the episode with Kevin, but one of the reasons why I was so 50-50 about the game was mostly just because I had thought that if the Chargers got out to an early lead, it would be hard for the Ravens to make a comeback compared to other teams, simply just because this year more than ever, the Chargers are way more of a running football team. But the thing is, Chargers got out to a 10-0 lead. Ravens came storming back. Uh, Chargers were able to get that pivotal field goal before, halftime, which that was huge. But Derrick Henry had 140 yards. He had a great game. His touchdown streak ended, unfortunately, but I know he probably doesn't care about that. I know he just wanted to win. Lamar Jackson, that throw to Bateman, that was an incredible throw. It was just a great game all around. And, I also feel like the defensive line was making an impact. The run defense is what I was most impressed by. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and a couple other people, people on the field or people within the organization of the Chargers, all used to play for or work for the Ravens. And J.K. Dobbins he was making a huge impact. Like being able to he was basically showing the rookie year form that he had for the Ravens, and it's very unfortunate that he got hurt. I hope that he's able to play the next time the Chargers play in an NFL game. But pretty much J.K. Dobbins going down, that hurt their team out a lot. It really, really did. And so other things that just impressed me is that I just feel like the defense was taking care of things. Like early on, the Chargers they punched the Ravens in the mouth. They really, really did. But I think that they were able to bounce back as a unit and be able to, just take care of business. Just take care of business. And so moving on to, this week's games, we have the Thanksgiving Day games. Bears versus Lions, first game of the day. Normally on this podcast, I'm a bit more optimistic about the Bears, but here's the thing: the Lions have not won on Thanksgiving since 2016. I think that they're finally going to end it this year. I think that they're going to beat the Bears on Thanksgiving, but I think this game is going to be very, very close. I want the Bears to win. Keep that in mind. I want the Bears to win. But I think the Lions, I think they found their swagger back ever since, them playing in the Texans in Houston a few weeks ago. I feel like the whole team is playing well, and Jared Goff doesn't have to throw the ball a lot. And for this game, I think what Bears, as an organization and fans want to see is I still believe the Bears can knock off at least every team in their division at least once. And so I think that this would be the time to do it if you were the Bears. I think if you want to knock off the line, I mean, of course, you want to be able to do that at home, but I think it's important to be able to say that you got that win. And especially since the Lions are in contention for the number one seed in the NFC, I think you want to show the world that, hey, we can hang here. We can hang here. So, kind of just moving on to some of the other games, we have the Giants versus Cowboys. This will probably be the game that everybody takes a nap in. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. I don't trust the Giants at all. Not that I had much trust with the Giants to begin with. But I think the Cowboys will be able to put a more complete game in, and hopefully this game just hurries up and is over relatively quickly. Dolphins versus Packers. I think this would be an interesting game. I think it would be interesting because I think, the Dolphins are playing good enough football, and, with Tua being back, he's playing pretty darn good. I think he'll be able to, keep things fresh. But the Packers, I think Josh Jacobs in that run game, I think he'll clear up the passing game. I think it'll make things easier to get open receivers for Jordan Love to throw it to the Christian Watsons, the Romeo Dobbs, which I believe he's on the injury report. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, I think that Josh Jacobs will be the focus for the Dolphins, in which if they're able to slow down Josh Jacobs, I think the Dolphins will put themselves in great position. But if Josh Jacobs let's just say if he puts up, actually, I won't even say yardage. Let's just say Josh Jacobs gets in the end zone twice. I think it's going to spell bad for them. But give me the Packers at home. Packers are a very good football team at home field. Give me the Packers. And moving on to the Black Friday game, Raiders versus Chiefs. I don't really have much to say about this game besides for the Chiefs are going to get this dub. Do I think this game will be interesting? I have no idea personally. But regardless, I think this would be an interesting game, and I'll be surprised if there's a decent amount of viewership for this game just because it's on Black Friday and most people are going to be shopping just because, that's just how Black Friday works. So moving on to Sunday's games, we have the Texans versus Jaguars. Give me the Texans. I just think that they will probably come out. Joe Mixon will probably be running angry. I think he'll be trying to get a couple of touchdowns. I think this is a get right game for the Texans, but I also think that this is a trap game for the Texans just because the Jaguars have not really been good this year outside of, say, a couple of games. They've been competitive here and there, but give me the Texans. Colts versus the Patriots. It's crazy because in like 2010, this would have been Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady game of the week. This would have been Sunday Night Football 15 years ago. But now it's just a noon game. Colts versus Patriots. Give me the Colts. I think Anthony Richardson, he's gonna bounce back, even though he did not play bad last week. From what I got to see, a lot of Colts receivers are dropping passes in the end zone. I think the Colts as an entire team just bounce back, try to compete, and make the AFC playoff picture a little bit more interesting. So for one of my games of the week, we have the Chargers versus the Falcons. The Falcons have been looking a little slow lately. Their hype train kind of died down a little bit. Chargers just had a tough loss to the Ravens in the Harbaugh Bowl. Give me the Chargers here. I think the Chargers are going to want to come out, and I think they're going to play better. I think the Chargers are going to stop the run, and I'm not sure if you all had saw Khalil Mack's comments on Derrick Henry saying that he doesn't think, basically, he wasn't that impressed with Derrick Henry, which, I mean, He's an NFL athlete. I feel like regardless of the box score, by that I mean no matter if they won or lost, I think you can still say that. It doesn't help your case that Derrick Henry had 140 yards because 140 yards for any running back is a pretty good day. But if the Chargers would have beat the Ravens, valid to say that. That probably would have been like an all-time quote that you would see on social media. But if the Chargers run defense does not, tighten up for, this game, I think people will start to try to troll Khalil Mack, and people will forget that Khalil Mack is a beast. He's a beast. So moving on to Seattle versus the Jets. I don't have much to say about this one. Go Seattle. And also, I hope DK Metcalf catches a couple of touchdowns because I am 5-7 in my fantasy football league. I need to win the next 2 games to make it to 500 to make it into the fantasy football playoffs. So go DK Metcalf. Titans versus Commanders. Give me the Commanders. I think the Commanders are going to come out and just play, football in all 3 phases. They're going to have a good game offensively, good game defensively, good special teams unit, and I think they're going to be mad that they lost to Dallas at home, and especially since it's a beat up Dallas team. It'd be different if Dallas was at full strength, competing for the NFC East division, but this is just not their year this year. No pun intended. So another game of the week, and this one is huge. Steelers versus Bengals. This is huge for 2 reasons. Reason number one being I'm a Ravens fan. So in reality, I should not want either of these teams to win. But I'm not that type of person. It would help the Ravens more if the Bengals were able to get this win. But here's the thing. For some reason, my gut is just telling me, the Bengals offense has been their saving grace all year. It's kept them in games. It's gotten them back in games. My gut is telling me that this will be the one time the offense does not show up. Like, just from like it might be their season low in points in this game. I don't know. Even though that from what I've noticed in recent years, the Steelers have the Ravens number, but the Steelers don't play as well against the Bengals. Which it's not weird to me, but it's weird to me, if that makes sense. Give me the Steelers in this one. I think that the Steelers defense will play a hell of a game. Cardinals versus Vikings. Cardinals had a tough loss last week, which they had the NFC West almost on lock if they were able to win that game. But now it makes it much, much closer. Vikings, they escaped Chicago out of a close game, went overtime, kind of played a little sloppy down the stretch. But give me the Vikings, kind of a bounce back game, try to, keep pace with the Lions and, the other top NFC teams. And also, it's crazy to think about. The Lions are 10-1. I believe the Vikings are 9-2 and the Packers are 8-3. The Vikings being 9-2 and the Packers being 8-3 are both wild card teams. That's just astonishing to me. And like I'm not one of those people that say that like, oh, NFL needs to get rid of conferences, blah 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 blah. I'm not like that because I do think it makes things more interesting. Yes, sometimes it's very unfortunate that a team that's a wild card team is technically not a higher seed than, like the Commanders are 7-5. Actually, no, they're not leading their division now. But you all know what I'm trying to say with, certain times, sometimes a division leader has a worse record than a team in the wild card. But moving on to the Rams versus the Saints. I believe the Rams are slowly running out of games to just get back on track because, they lost against the Eagles. Saquon had a historic game. Yes, they're still only about 1 game out of the NFC West division. If they want to go on a win streak to win that division, the time is now. The time is now. I'm going to pick the Rams to actually win this game. I think Kyron Williams, I think, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, I think they're going to play well. And I also think the Saints are going to try to run the ball quick and early and often, but I think the Rams are going to try to stop that. So for this next game, before I even say what it is, I just want you to already know that this is going to be my upset of the week. Give me the Bucks versus. I said give me the Bucks. I said that wrong. Bucks versus Panthers. Give me the Panthers in a shootout. I don't know. Just I want to pick an upset. Does it seem like the easiest upset to pick? Yes, it does. But I'm going to pick the Panthers. I believe that Bryce Young will play just as well as Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm not saying that both quarterbacks will throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm not saying that at all. I'm more so saying that you're going to see Baker Mayfield make some amazing throws, make some amazing plays. You're going to see Bryce Young do the same thing. Give me the Panthers to upset the Bucks. Another game of the week here. I honestly think this should have been a Sunday night football game. The Eagles versus the Ravens. Ironically, last week I said I was pretty 50-50. I'm 50-50 again. I'll still take the Ravens, but both of these teams are similarly built. I do think the Eagles have the better defense, so they have the advantage there. I'm saying that you have Jalen Hurts, somebody who can move, Lamar Jackson, somebody who can move. You got Saquon having a career year. You have Derrick Henry, who's on pace to having a career year. Both teams have good wide receiving cores. Both teams have good offensive lines. I think this game will come down to who makes the worst mistake in the second half, or whoever has the ball last. Because I feel like if you give one of these teams a chance, I think that they'll be able to take advantage, whether it be you only need a field goal or you only need a touchdown. And I do think it'll be hard for the Ravens if they need to stop late in the game, just because the Eagles have the tush push, which, hate it or love it, that play is very, very effective, whether it was with Jason Kelsey or without Jason Kelsey. 49ers versus Bills. Give me the Bills. I know I did not know that Bryce Purdy. I said Bryce Purdy. I know that I did not know that Brock Purdy was not going to play last week. I'm not 100% sure if he will be playing this weekend, but I'm still going to take the Buffalo Bills. They're at home. They're hot right now. They're coming off of a win against Kansas City. I think that they're seriously going to put some pressure on Kansas City for the number 1 seed in the AFC. And lastly, Browns versus Broncos. This probably would have been another game to pick for an upset, like as in if I would have picked the Browns, but I'm going to pick the Broncos because I don't know why. I just don't trust the Browns to put together multiple games in a row, multiple good games in a row. But I am hoping that, because, in fantasy football, my opponent has a lot of people playing Monday night, and I'm hoping all of them get 0 points. Because I'm trying to make it to the fantasy football playoffs. I started off 0-6. I'm 5-7. I'm really trying to make that comeback. I really, really am. But I just want to thank you all for listening to the I Am Passionate podcast, and I appreciate you all for sticking with me, whether it is through Spotify or YouTube. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.